Welcome to another triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to another triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. This week, we're going to break it all down. We're going to be talking Ironman Texas. We're going to chat about Alex Yee at the London Marathon, and we're going to catch up with our very own Josh, who's rocking his Boston jacket here. So we'll find out all about his race too. So stay tuned. We're going to catch up with the crew, and then we'll throw in a segment with Travis Mundell from the Daily Tri, who will help us break down Ironman Texas as he was on the ground with me there. So first off, let's say hi to everyone. And because I know we're going to want the full recap from Josh, we'll start off and say hi to Fede here.
Yeah, let's start with the boring one. Yes.
You're just backloading everything, that's all.
Right, yes. No, everything's going good. Today I just had this really good gym session, which I haven't felt sore in quite a bit of time. So and it's been a while since I had like a good gym session that I felt proud of. I was deadlifting like an athlete, not like a triathlete, so that felt good. And did I run first, because I like to do my triathlete workouts first and then do the strength part, just because I want to be a bit more fresh for the thing that I actually do, not the lifting. And it's been going well, but it's feeling good. And I was doing this 10 by 2 minutes on the run, and it was painful. And I was just talking to you guys off the air about this. We'd also race 70.3, and I was hurting for 2 minutes. So I was like, man, this 70.3 at altitude that Ironman just announced, it's going to be tough. So if you're doing that, please do a lot of intensity and be prepared to feel like you're dying. Yeah.
Quite the race endorsement.
Everyone go to New
Hashtag go Ruidoso. Visit New Mexico. Yeah. Maybe Ironman needs to send me an invite for the race and then have me as a spokesperson of altitude racing.
You're on your way, Fed.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. Anyways, now that we talked about what I wanted to talk about, why don't you guys tell us what's going on with you?
Yeah, Josh, give us the rundown, Mr. Boston. How'd it go out there?
I'll keep it short because this was a huge triathlon weekend, and another marathon took place only 6 days after. I had a ton of friends do both, which is also crazy. I felt good probably by the time the weekend rolled around and London came out, and I probably could have run a marathon, but nowhere near as fast as I ran Boston, which, if you haven't seen, was a huge surprise. Like I just was not expecting to attack that course for 26 miles. I thought it would be like a big training day in terms of gathering data for the rest of the year and how we were going to approach the rest of the season and triathlon and eventually towards the Chicago Marathon goal of trying to run a sub 3. And I think a lot of that just allowed me to be relaxed. I enjoyed the whole weekend. Like I wouldn't normally if I was chasing a PR. I walked around, did a lot of things at the expo, got some awesome invites. I ran an all-out 2 mile on the New Balance track 2 days before the race and hanging out with Meb Keflezi and other pros and Megan Featherston. And like, it was just a really cool event and like just relaxed me. And I stayed at home every night. Like I would go into the city. My wife and I would go in. We'd come back home, go back in, come back home. And then Sunday, we made the decision not to go in the city. And I think that was a game changer because we just totally relaxed and stayed off our feet and were able to get everything done at home that we wanted to. We live 20 minutes from the start line, so I didn't have to do the whole bus into the city. I live on the other side of the start line too. So like we took an Uber. My parents drove my cars in on Sunday night because they have an apartment that we were going to stay in Copley Square, literally right at the finish line. So they had to drive in Sunday night. They took my car and their car, and they were going to meet us at the finish line on Monday and would have a place to stay and enjoy Tuesday. So we took an Uber on Monday morning, and my start time was 10:25. My wife's was at 11:15. And we got there around 8:30, 8:45. And then you take a bus. So you get dropped off. There's a parking lot for athletes to park and drive if they wanted to. And then you take a bus from there, 15, 20 minutes to the start village. Because we were both with charities as well, we had access to the indoor facility. And so if you ever want to do Boston and you don't want to raise money, find a charity, raise money. The start line experience is so much better because you have access to private bathrooms and indoor bathrooms and not porta potties. And it's really, really nice to have that extra aspect. But like you're going to hear a lot of people say, you're not there long. And a lot of people arrived late and they were like going right, because it's about a 3/4 mile walk down to the start line from the high school that you start your village at. So I just kind of really crushed the morning in terms of my nutrition, had a great breakfast, took my bicarb about 2.5 hours before the race, and super hydrated, had a high carb bottle with me with sodium that I was sipping on and drinking all the way down to the start line, and then grabbed one more Poland Spring water. They've got a huge area of porta potties and water bottles and sunscreen and all this stuff literally within a couple 100 feet of the corrals. And so I took one of those with me into the corral, and I was just like, I put my phone away at this point, took one last photo before we started and put the phone away in my pocket. And I knew the course, and I was like, I'm not going to go out too hard. I had a strategy of don't push really much under 7:30 for the first 5-6 miles, which are mostly downhill, net way downhill, but then there's a few rollers along the way. And that calmness just made a huge difference. Like I just felt relaxed. The heart rate stayed where it needed to be. It was still cool at that point, but the sun was out. And I was just rolling and seeing friends along the way. And we had taped Josh huge on my bib because I wore my nerd belt. So my bib was down by my waist instead of up on my chest. So I wasn't covering a good space that you could write your name. I was like, that was a mistake, having my name that big, because literally every 10 seconds it was like, Josh. It's like, no, I only want my friends to know my name. So tip, if you don't want to be turning your head left and right the entire race. But then it was like, go Poland Spring. And it was like, And for those who don't know, I got a bib because of a sweepstake that Poland Spring had. And it was awesome experience running for them, having that on. And next thing you know, just kind of rolling. And the first couple of miles were 7:28. And it was just like, I'm not even using music. I have no headphones on, and I'm just taking it all in. And rolling with the people that well, I mean, we're good at that, right? But typically in a marathon, I'll wear the headphones to make sure I have my cadence up. I have like a beat playlist, and it's around 180 BPM. I finished the race at 181, 182 average cadence. So right where I needed to be without the music. And man, it was just epic the whole way, and never ran a crazy mile and overdid it all the way through the hills. And I knew I would push it a little bit on the flats around mile 6, 7. And there's some more of just a straight run there. And I dropped the pace probably 10 seconds a mile in that area, and knowing that I would lose a little bit once we hit the hills around mile 17, 18. And those hills during training were tough. And I ran them all the time, out and back twice in a day. And this was so different. Like, you were just in a pack, you're in a roll, you got people yelling your name. I knew I had bottles on the course, which were also, I mean, again, this is 2 marathons in a row, world majors, where I had friends step up, allow me to pre-mix bottles, give it to them, and they were where they were supposed to be. So I missed the first bottle, but I had my nerd belt, which was my backup. So perfect. I had that as my second bottle. I started with a bottle, 90 grams of carbs, the Tailwind high carb, amazing. And then I had some Morton gels with me as well. And so I used those 2 bottles to get me through 15. And then I got a bottle of 15 and a bottle almost at the bottom of Heartbreak Hill at 19. And so I fast drank the 15-mile one. And then when I got to 19, right before the hills, needed that, was just amped. Like, my friends were there, like, you see it, and like, you're like, I got to change strategies if they're not. And then you see them and they're there and they're holding the bottle up, and it's like that juice that it gives you without even drinking it. It's like, and it just everything worked out perfect. I got to the top of Heartbreak Hill and I was like, I fast stepped it, but slowed down my pace. I still ran under 8-minute miles. I think during training, I was running like 9-minute miles up those hills. But I knew quick step it at the top and really turn over on the cadence coming down. And I was running 7 or sub 7-minute miles coming home for the last 6 miles. And I think it was around mile 21, 22 towards the end of Heartbreak Hill as I got to BC. And I had done that run so many times. That was pretty much my out and back on a like an 8-mile day out to BC and back. So I'd done it so many times. I knew I could negative split coming home. And I knew my legs were feeling good. And I started to do some triathlon math or some marathon math. And I was like, whoa, Chicago's in reach here. And on top of Chicago's in reach, like this is now a PR and a BQ. And like, how low can we go? I never thought I'd be lowering my BQ at Boston. And now next year is potentially in the question with a better buffer. And I was like, man, I can push it and I feel good. And I had so many friends in that stretch too. And at that point, I had turned into Osh, and then Osh had turned into just no bib, no name. And only the people that knew me were yelling my name. So that helped. And you see the sicko sign like everyone talks about, and being from here, that's huge. And then you turn right onto Com Ave and down a hill and up a hill to Hereford Street. And you turn right. And I had friends right there on the corner yelling my name. And I was like, I know there's a camera guy hard left onto Boylston Street. I have like no time to play with here. Every second matters. That was my mentality. Like every second totally matters for my BQ because I might not make it with the buffer I have. So I thought I was sprinting. I still think I ran a 6:52 or something like that. I was not running a 5:30 or 6-minute mile. I thought I was running at that point. Boylston Street was long and it just went by so fast. It was like, my wife and I both said this, like it just was a blink of an eye. Like, and she had a harder day, but she had a great race. And you just like, you get to the end, and you're like, wait, what? That's it? And I know a lot of people had a rough day in the heat and in the weather, but I mean, it was probably the best I've ever executed a race from start to finish, and including the nutrition and the breakfast the morning of and all the way through. And I just feel totally lucky to have like the knowledge that you guys have given me. And I called my coach afterwards and she was like, you did what? Like, we weren't supposed to BQ today. We weren't supposed to PR a marathon today. And I was like, so all that training we've done just paid off in terms of the aerobic. And it's like, okay, well now sub 3 is really in the question because my longest run was 14 miles before this race. And we did a couple of them, but now I can put a marathon block into October. All right, I got a lot of hard work coming up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That was the last thought. I was like, man, this is going to be a difficult summer.
Amazing how fast it goes by when you hit that state of flow. Like when you're feeling good and things are clicking in a race, it's over in an instant.
Yeah. And I was slowing myself down at the beginning, and that's when I knew it was going to be a good day as long as I just kind of stayed ahead of my nutrition. And I grabbed a whole bunch of Morton gels at the aid station. So thank you, Morton. I actually left the race with more than I started with for the first time ever.
Hey, there we go.
Remember. And every time I went into my pocket, I would grab the right one, and I was just looking for the calf one, and I got the calves when I needed it. And I know a lot of people can't handle calf, but you got to train your gut for it because it's a huge piece of it's a cheat code at that part of the race. And you can have all the fans and all the people yelling, but your body needs to have something to actually kick it into gear. And for me, that was huge, having a couple extra 100 calf gels down the stretch. And the finish line's great, everything about it, meeting my parents. And then I went back a mile towards Kenmore and cheered my wife on, and a whole bunch of other friends coming in. And the athlete that I coached broke her PR by like 20 minutes too. So it was a good day. And then, and then my coach went and won her age group by like almost an hour in Texas. So it was like quite the week, and started my job at Super Tri on Wednesday. And there we go. Cloud 9 right now for sure.
That's fantastic. Just living the endurance sports dream at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment, we are going to continue rolling with it.
Yeah. I wanted to, especially, on the flow state that Jenna was saying, I'm a strong believer that we promote that flow state, even though sometimes we don't know we are promoting it or actually doing things to be in a flow state on race day. But the way you talked to us about how you were feeling on the week, no pressure, doing fun things. I think all those little things helped for you to feel the way you felt on race day. Took the edge off, allowed you to race your race, and definitely put it put you on a great place to be mentally.
Yeah, I agree. It was a different way to approach a race for sure, especially one that wasn't an A race. And there's definitely a mindset reminder that I have going into races now with that. Because the other thing about Boston, there's no pace groups. So this was all soul paced, and you're just running off of people that you trust and what you know your legs are doing and the paces that you've trained with. So I had run a bunch at that pace, but nowhere near what you would normally do in a training block. And yeah, like you said, it was that relaxed feeling. And every time I saw somebody I knew, just kind of kept rolling with it. I was like, wow, we're this far along. And negative split Boston, like not many people do that. And it was exactly what I had hoped to do. And I think it was by like a minute or two, but yeah, that felt good.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. You're keeping your streak of PRs alive here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to lower that bar a little bit. But I'm feeling good enough that my coach has let me jump into my third annual sprint try down the road in Hopkinton as well. So I'm going to do that for a third year in a couple of weeks. But yeah, congrats to Jenna as well. I wasn't on last week's episode because I was frolicking around Newbury with AG1 and going to spas and getting ice baths and sauna. So thank you, AG1, for that treatment as well.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's definitely good to get that BQ, or not that BQ. Well, I did get a BQ.
They just don't allow it. Talk to Nick Lamb. He's not happy about that either.
She needs to do it in Kona, to get the BQ in Kona.
There we go.
Do it in style.
Get it done in Kona.
Or just not drink the night before Chicago.
There we go.
Or train.
I mean, quite a difference between October and what Jenna just went through the last 3 months for an Ironman build, and now another one coming up.
A lot less drinking, a lot more training than before Chicago. So marathons are much easier when you go that way. No, but this weekend definitely has me fired up for the training ahead and for Kona and everything. I am in like triathlete geeking out heaven this whole weekend. So it was pretty cool. Our little podcast here that we've been doing for about a year and a half now is big enough that I went to Ironman and said, hey, can we get a media pass for the podcast? And we got one of the select few kind of available there. They've always got like their core group that they kind of know and trust will get on the course. I hear they're a little picky about who else goes out on there because you get a lot of access that you wouldn't typically get. And sometimes that can be a risky prospect for them with some people just running around who don't know what they're doing, I guess. Anyway, so it was very cool to see that we are growing as a podcast, getting more influence out there. And so they gave me that pass so that we could really do some race coverage at Ironman Texas this weekend. And it was just so fun to be able to go check out all the pro bikes beforehand. There were some bizarre bike setups out there.
Yeah.
Definitely took some pictures, some interesting ones, we'll say.
I was going to say that anybody that listens to the podcast that's not following Jenna or the ATP Instagram page, you should give it a follow because Jenna was really on it with the posting on social media and keeping us really engaged. I wanted to talk to you about, you posted on transition this bike with the water bottle holder. What was it made of? Like, what was the deal there?
Oh my goodness. So there was this one bike in the pro male transition, and it looked like it had this metal welded on like circle that was about the size of like a big pop bottle. Like, what is it, 2 liters or something in those big bottles?
Yeah.
Like that would slot.
That big.
Yeah, it was like this big around. It was crazy. And it's welded on there. I'm like, what is this thing? Went and checked it out the morning of the race, and the race refs were going around and doing their checks after all the pros checked in, and they must have flagged it and said, you cannot do that because they had swapped it the next day. But I was just so curious to see what was going to fit in there.
Yeah. Maybe a 2-liter Coke.
He had to fix that. I mean, that's like towards the end of the run, not at the beginning of the bike. He needs to see my setup. That's
yeah.
There
it's interesting to see though that a lot of the pros, because we know pros push the limits when it comes to aero and bottle setups and things like. It seems like everyone is still sticking to the 2 bottles, and it's almost like, do they actually know that you can put more up there? And I know, and a lot of people are using fast TT, so that they're talking to the people who have the triple bottle setup. And I mean, obviously the times were fast enough, as we'll find out in a little bit. But it is interesting to see the bottle setups that we're still running, and then you saving the day with Trevor Foley.
Yeah, so Trevor Foley, if you guys didn't see it, I took a picture of his shoes because he had stuck his shoes on the wrong way. And I saw him clipping them in by hand, and that was quite the effort. He must have speed play or something on there. But yeah, his shoes were on backwards. So we posted on the stories, tagged him. Josh went in and tagged everyone in his sphere to say, hey, like your shoes are backwards. Because could you imagine you're running out of transition with a group and you go up on your bike and the shoes are the wrong way?
It's happened to me before.
No way.
So when I saw your post, I was like, where was Jenna back then in my life that
right.
This happened to me? And it was an Olympic distance, and it was a draft legal race. So I got out of the water, had a great swim, grabbed my bike, jumped on the bike, started pedaling, put on my shoes, and I was like, this feels so weird. And then I looked down, and of course, had to stop. Had to swap bike shoes, and of course the group left, and that was that. But
not
it happens to the best of us. Yeah.
I went back and looked race morning, and his shoes were not clipped onto the pedals. They were beside his bike on the side there.
So you almost wonder too, because that transition is, once they get to their bike, it's a long transition, but once they get to their bike, the pro racks are right at the mountain line almost, right? And it's grass. So it's like, just put your shoes on and go. And it's like, you're going to catch the train of 17 people. Now, Trevor is a different story. He's way back, but it's interesting to see. I know it looks cool to have them all band-aided in. And that was interesting too, to see Gustav. I think Travis is the one that saw that happen, where Taylor Knibb gave all her bag of zip ties to everyone. She's walking around transition with in the morning.
Yeah, no, it was definitely interesting, but yeah, rubber it was bands. So cool just to have that access in there. Got to go right down to the swim start on the little floating dock there. That was pretty sketchy. There was only a maximum number of people allowed on it, and that thing was swaying up and down. It's like, you'd not want to fall. All the camera gear and equipment that was on that thing, I'm just like, ooh, bad if they fell over. Yeah, it was just so much fun to be able to chase them around the whole day and actually see it happen. And then got some great videos. Like I said, got the Cam Worf running off with his Ironman bike record. And then unfortunately the Taylor Knibb crash. And we got a chance to chat with some of the pros afterwards and stuff too, and get some of their recaps on the day. So very, very cool to see that the podcast is growing, and we do have the ability to go out to some of these races. So definitely going to endeavor to do a few more of those so we can get all the insight. Like we said, go check out @another triathlon podcast on Instagram. We got some good videos up there. And then I was also down, I don't know if I've mentioned on here yet or not, but I'm writing for Triathlete magazine now as a coach. So also shot some videos with them for some of the articles that I've written that'll be coming out over the next little while. So just got to geek out on triathlon altogether. Had a few beers over at the Pro Tri News pre-show. So that was a lot of fun as well. And yeah, just got to geek out all weekend. I'm feeling so fired up to get back into training, and desperate to get back into training at this point after getting sick after Ironman and then starting to feel better, and then the travel. And now it's like, okay, it's 2 weeks out. Time to get back into the routine.
Yeah, it was a slow roll back into the routine for me. So I can feel you on that, but this weekend certainly made it very easy to get back on the bike and then go for a swim today, which was my first one. I was supposed to swim last week, but I just didn't have it in me. I wanted to take this time off and relax, and work started and things like that. So, but I had a good swim today. I was very surprised how well the water felt. And speaking of, how was that swim? I mean, you must have been stoked that it was shortened and you got the wetsuit, and the whole time you're doing all this heat training. And yes, it was warm, but it was the water wasn't enough.
I was happy for a wetsuit swim and the change in the course there. And they decided to accidentally add an extra couple miles to the bike ride to make up for the swim, which I am all for that. Less swimming, more biking. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It was good all around. But we have an interview with Travis coming up. But first off, I think we have to make a mention. You brought up Super Tri. We had one of our triathletes, one who likes to race Super Tri and kind of dominates at it, Alex Yee, ran his first marathon. And what did you guys think of the result? 2:11. That is smoking fast.
It wasn't his goal, but it was smoking hot in London compared to what it typically is. And I know a lot of people struggled on the day, and for him to run the 2:11, finish 14th overall, like this is with Kipchoge in the field. Like he was 8 spots behind Kipchoge, the GOAT of marathon running, which also in crazy performance by him too at 40 years old. But these guys are running so freaking fast, and he was right there with them with the lead pack, and that's his marathon debut. And to drop it at London, and by far the fastest triathlete. I think Steve McKenna paced a 2:20 marathon this weekend too. Like, what's going on in the triathlon? And Hugo Milner is the one that paced Alex Yee for 18 miles.
That's crazy.
So he was right there with him. So super, super crazy triathlon running performances this weekend across the board. But Alex Yee, what a performance in London. And he was soaked when he crossed that line. And I know a lot of it's the triathlete in him and dousing himself with water, but he was drenched and he was taxed, and he said it kicked his butt. That's for sure. Maybe in different words.
I remember a couple of years ago, there was an interview with Kristian Blummenfelt and Gustav Eden. The interviewer was asking them how fast they think they could go over the marathon. Gustav said, well, I think if you give us like a good 3-4 months, and we are still doing triathlon and swim biking and running, we can go around the 2:08, 2:09, 2:10 mark. But if we dedicate like a full year to running, I think we can go sub 2:05 or whatever. And I think it goes to show that triathletes, it's way past that we are, we suck at 3 sports, but we do 3 sports at a very high level. And maybe swimming is the one that's way behind. But biking and running, I think top-level triathletes can compete with elite or world-class runners. And Alex just showed that it's definitely possible. Imagine if he says, well, I won gold in Paris, I'm going to win gold in LA. And after that, I want to win gold in Australia. Because why not? Because I'm Alex Yee and I can.
Which sport and which distance?
Right, yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to do the marathon, and I'm going to do the road race for fun and see if it happens.
And he did that with exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
On a triathlon build. Like, it was a marathon build, but he was still swimming and biking because he's still got a season.
Like, it's not like he's an Ironman athlete who's running 20-mile runs every other weekend for years.
No, he's a 10K guy.
Yeah. He turns around and pulls this off. Seriously impressive. And speaking of how good these triathletes are in other sports, I was talking to Taylor Knibb after the race here, and it sounds like she'll be doing the time trial nationals again this year. And, we saw her pull off a crazy performance there as well. So it's just...
And that's in a few weeks too, I think.
Yeah, coming up fast here. So cool to see that triathletes are not just, like you said, kind of mediocre at 3 sports. They are truly world class. And it's just mind-boggling that you can see them put it together like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I think Tom Oosterdock ran a 2:40 or something like that too. Like, so, not an Alex Yee day, but our buddy Tom had a good day using his Ghana fuel. And it, again, like a lot of people DNF'd that race. Like a lot of people pulled out. And I think not only do we have the aerobic engine built differently and able to withstand certain things, I just think that whole mentality on fueling is a little bit different as well.
Yes.
And recovery and you're not putting in, for him, still swimming and biking, which means he wasn't putting the 120-mile weeks in there. And some of these guys are. And that makes a big difference on a tougher day, would be my guess.
Funny how there's such a different perspective on heat when it comes to marathon running versus like triathlon and stuff. Like a hot day in London. What was the temperature in a hot day in London? Like, did it reach
23 Celsius?
Yeah. In Texas, they're out there at 31 Celsius, and that's just not a lot of them complained about the heat either.
No, people complained about Boston being hot, and it was 65 degrees at the high, and then like towards the end of the race, it got cold again. So it was, to me, it was like ideal running conditions, except there was full sun. But yeah, I mean, yeah, then you see Texas and it's 85 Fahrenheit and like people don't even look like they're struggling because of the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After 180K bike ride.
exactly. I was just gonna say that. And I think
Middle.
honestly, no shame to the running community, and because it's an amazing community, but I think the triathlon community is a couple of steps ahead when it comes to recovery, just because we have to juggle three sports and the volumes that we train are so much bigger than the average runner. So I think we know a bit more about nutrition and recovery and the importance of sleep. And right now, the running community is starting to pick it up. I mean, I have a couple of running friends, and it's funny, but I feel like a geek, like an absolute nerd, because I went to a barbecue the other day, and one of them was like, "Oh, dude, I found out a bit about this awesome technology, the Whoop. It measures your heart rate." And I was like, that's like 4 years
Just
ago.
look at any triathlete. We got
And but no, I mean, we look like dorks sometimes, but I think it's because we know we need to juggle a lot, and it's swimming, biking, and running. And yes, running takes a toll on the body, but it's a completely different animal when you're running a marathon after 180 Ks of biking and 3.8 Ks of swimming. But then again, running a fast standalone marathon like Josh did and what he's going to do in Chicago, it's going to take quite a bit of preparation. Obviously, the cycling and the swimming is going to take a bit of a backseat then. But yeah, that was just my take on that.
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't get a chance to talk about this in our talk with Travis coming up, but the one thing Ironman does need to, and triathletes need to figure out, is that sunburn or battery burn lotion for these new GPS that the pros have to wear on their bike kits. If you haven't seen, take a look at Instagram and you'll see some of the burns that the top pros had from being an aero and out in the heat in Texas. Speaking of heat, there's a reason why it was hot there. You'll see they were all burnt by these GPS systems. And it's unfortunate. And it sounds like it's probably due to the heat. And I think Fede had said something with the reaction the batteries had being in that type of heat. But they use similar systems in the T100, and they've done that in Singapore. But maybe it was the fact that they're on a highway in direct sunlight for that long.
Yeah, they also have different devices for those ones and a little less time. So lessons learned for Ironman there. But speaking of Travis, why don't we pop in that interview here and we will break down how Ironman Texas went. And then we will be back next week. As we mentioned, we've got Travis Mundell joining us today. You will recognize his voice from the Daily Tri. He gives all of those epic race previews and breakdowns after the events. So we're excited to have him on. And then, as always, joined by Josh and Fede. But let's jump in and say hi, Travis. How are you doing? We're glad to have you on.
I am doing good. I'm glad to be here. I'm a little bit tired from running around chasing all the pros at Ironman Texas, but it's a good feeling of tired right now. Just had a fun time out there. Love that place, and it was good to be with you as well. Chasing them around and sharing stats with each other the whole time.
Yeah, it was a blast. This is one of the first times I've kind of gone down and really tried to do some race coverage on another triathlon podcast, and definitely have to give you a shout out for knowing where to go for everything and letting me chase you around a bit so that we didn't miss the good shots and got some good stuff there.
It makes all the difference having gone to a location before. So I was grateful I'd been there once before. But yeah, in Oceanside, when I was there a few weeks ago, I had no idea what I was doing, and definitely missed a lot of things. So I was grateful to have some knowledge on this one before.
Well, why don't we jump right in with a recap? We usually have Fede here break it down for us on what happened at Ironman Texas. Why don't you give us a quick rundown there?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it together. I mean, since you guys were there, it's only fair if we all do it together. But why don't we start with the men's side? We saw Gustav, Kristian, the Norwegian train racing in Texas. It was a stack field. Like, I think out of the World Championship and 70.3 Worlds, Texas is becoming like a really hot event for pros to test the waters early on. And we saw KB running away from the win. There was a bit of a pass on the bike course. Gustav made the pass, and then right there I thought that he was going to ride away from everyone. But KB proved to be super strong on the day. Second place, Antonio Benito from Spain. It's fair to share. He's a real good athlete, but I think none of us had Antonio to be top 3 on the day. So big. Well, maybe Travis did. Why don't you talk us a bit about Antonio, Travis?
I just was really impressed by him last year at the World Triathlon Long Distance World Championships, where he won there and he ran like that 2:32 paced marathon, but it's only a 30-kilometer run there, 32-kilometer run. Yeah, something like that. So that's when I first really started being like, okay, this guy's the real deal. Beat a couple good athletes there, and he showed that he could bike at that race as well. So that's when I was like, okay, this guy, he stepped up from short course in the last couple of years, and I was like, okay, this guy's the real deal. So yeah, and then he beat a lot of guys at Victoria last year. So and just with this being a hot race, he's from Spain, and it seemed perfect for him.
Yeah.
Was everyone kind of surprised on the ground about the pack of swim? It was 17 guys on that train out off, and Cam Wharf was on the back of that. Like the dude's learned how to swim. He's and then to throw down the bike he did on top of that is insane. But I would imagine a lot of that time, speed, all that was due to the fact that they were 12 meters and everyone's learning how to ride with Race Ranger. But it was certainly a surprise how many came out of the water.
Yeah, and we had they got a little led astray in transition. There were so many men coming out of the water that the transition zone was just absolute chaos. First off, just everyone trying to get in and out there. But the swim leader went off in the wrong direction trying to get through transition. All the volunteers like yelling at him, "Okay, go this way, go this way." It was definitely not what anyone expected to have so many men all so close together. We almost got run over at one point and got told to get out of the transition zone.
Yeah.
Was that Ben Canute?
Yep. And it was funny because we were in the pro area before the race, and he was the one asking, "Okay, where do we go? How do I run into transition? Run out of transition?" Still messed it up. So
even the pros, when the heart rate's at 180 and they're trying to get out of the water, kind of lose their way and their sense of direction a bit.
Do we think that like the non-wetsuit swim played a big factor in this race? If we throw wetsuits on this, do you think the race results are any different?
I don't think so. I just don't think anybody took the bull by the horns on that swim, really. I don't think anybody tried to make a move. And it is kind of a hard one to do so because there's not that many buoys, just one buoy at the end, right? So it's like if you get that one long pack, it's hard to get some separation. But yeah, just from hearing some people talk about it, looks like nobody really tried to break it up. And yeah, I think they pay for that, having some of the guys they don't want around them starting the bike.
Yeah, definitely. And did you guys manage to see Cam Wharf on the bike while you were on course? And did you knew that something special was going to take place in him being the fastest right now on the bike for an Ironman course? Did you get to see Cam at all, or did he come by surprise? What was that whole thing?
Yeah, we didn't get to see him. The bike course out there is so hard. You have to really be in the know on how to get around to get out to see them on the bike, and it might not be worth it just to see them one time go by. Yeah, I didn't have any guess about that. I wasn't really talking him up too much before this race. I didn't hear too many people picking him, but yeah, it just sounds like this year he's more focused than ever, especially this time of year on triathlon as a whole, and his swim is showing that. For him to be right there at the front, especially after Oceanside as well. I did not expect that. What he did on the bike was incredible. It wasn't like he was really towed along to it as well. And, the fact that he was able to break away from that huge group at the end is so impressive.
Yeah.
Kind of went with Nick Thompson. That was impressive too. And Nick held on, and both of them didn't go too far down in the run either. We saw them off out of T2 out for the lead and then kind of wave Kristian and Benito on, but it was impressive what Nick and Cam did for sure. And Cam had come from further behind, so that ride was just insane how fast. He was a couple minutes up on anyone else too on the bike, which was just insane. And then for Kristian to have a clean ride and be in that front swim pack and sit in with 17 guys, 15 guys and save the legs for that run. And he said in his post race interview that he could tell Benito was breathing a little heavier, and he was like, time to lay it down. And it was just like, I felt good and it was time to go. And man, that was an impressive performance. And I wonder if somebody was pushing him if we would have seen the record go down. But it did sound like he was starting to lose it a little bit on the last 5K.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see him out there. He just looked so solid and so strong all day in there. And, it's kind of a shame that we didn't have all three Norwegians up at the front with Gustav with his flat tire in there. But kudos to the mechanic team from Ironman there. We don't often say that, but that change was poetic. It was smooth, fast, got him back on there, but he just seemed to lose that fire after that flex. It wasn't much time that he lost, but he just lost tons of time after it.
He did tell me he had another puncture before that one, actually. So he had two, like right out of transition.
T2, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. T1. And then he said he also, I think why you thought he lost a lot of steam, and I didn't realize this till after I spoke to him, but he had been riding on his rim, I believe he said for 10 or 15 kilometers already before they got to change it. So I think he might have put in a lot of power to try and stay with them. But the funny thing is then Kristian saying that the moped was next to him the entire race. And Gustav was like, where is this guy? I need him. And he couldn't catch up to him because the moped was too slow. So this was Gustav's bad luck race. Kristian had his. Maybe it's Casper next. We'll have to wait and see. But Casper had a good race too.
Apparently they had a flat tire on their rental car too. Like the Norwegians
My goodness,
are getting all of this out here.
Hey. So maybe someone's trying to sabotage the Norwegians even on the rental cars.
They're going to have gator skins on the next race, I swear. Yeah, and unfortunately, another pro that we all have a soft spot for, Jason Pohl, he got double flats too. So he fixed the first one, got back on the road, and then got another flat out there. So there was a bit of debris on the highway, it sounds like. I heard about a lot of flat tires, unfortunately.
And water bottles being tossed errantly, apparently, too, which started launching some pros.
Man, it's crazy out there. Definitely. And then one insane part, too, they actually had a crash of a big, truck over on the highway that a few of the triathletes saw going by in there. So, yeah, a big 18-wheeler, flipped on the other side of the highway, which you can see the triathletes, riding by in the background. So, luckily, sounds like everyone's okay after that, but that would throw you off seeing that happen.
Yeah.
It sounded like the age groupers played a big factor on the second lap too. And it's amazing the times that they rode, because you listen to Taylor talk and Kat and some others, how cautious they had to be on that second lap. And yet they still were thrown down. It's at times they're like, is that the lead trainer or not? Or is that an age grouper? Or is that, who am I slotting in behind? Or do I need to keep rolling at 35 miles an hour and pass these guys? So it was definitely, it makes it interesting. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. And I've always been a big proponent for the one loop course, but I've been a fan of Oceanside for a long time. But when you get into the full distance, it's really hard to find.
Well, and we got to talk about the guy with the horns that everyone seems to sleep on until he shows up these big races where all of the top guys are at, with Rudy von Berg, who just always seems to come out of nowhere. He's steady all day and just winds up on that podium against some of the best in the world, and still no one talks about him going into it.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy, it's just a class act and a guarantee. He's going to have a solid race. He strikes to me as a really smart athlete. He races smart. He races his race. And yes, he was 9 minutes behind Kristian, but to me, it wasn't like a blow-up type of situation. It was Rudy racing his own race, knowing he was going to get a really good amount of points, and maybe not emptying the tank right now, this time of the season. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to win, but I think Rudy is one of those athletes who's very honest with himself, and he knows the best way for him to go by this whole situation is race his own race, and then when Nice comes, then he can actually empty the tank and see what does he have on the day. But great racing from Rudy. I think he definitely didn't empty a tank on race day.
He's leading the Pro Series now, right?
I think so. I actually don't know. I'm just about to look that up.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're waiting for the final updates on the Pro Series rankings, but with his 2 podiums, he's got to be right out there with that consistency. The Pro Series definitely rewards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's at the top, and KB might even be second with the Big Five and some points at Oceanside, obviously. But man, if Kristian had a good Oceanside, we'd be talking a different story right now without that puncture. The amount of points that you would have, and often running with one of each. But I mean, the other big part for Rudy too is, again, we talk about him, but it's always as an afterthought. And we're probably going to end up regretting it. And sure enough, he does what he needs to do. And he's lined up perfectly for Nice. And the big check at the end of the day is still in play, which is huge. And we know it's too early to start looking at it. I think Danielle Lewis led at this point last year. Maybe even Fenella was in the lead at this point last year on the female side. So, and Matt Hansen was up top. Things are going to change. But at the same time, he's had 2 big races, and now he's got a little gap in his season. I think St. George will be interesting for sure with the couple week break in there and seeing who's doing the double and going after that next big one.
That's true. Yeah, I just looked it up, and he is ahead by only 100 points though over Kristian.
Really?
So he did get
Wow.
Yeah,
that's because Kristian put down so much of a gap there.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to quickly shout out that Rudy's coach is Mikkel Eden, which is super interesting, as well in the whole dynamic with the trio of Norwegians racing against him in this pro series. And I don't think Mikkel gets enough credit, as well for the work he does with Rudy. They've been so good together in the last couple of years. And, Rudy, to me, why maybe he doesn't get talked about enough is because he doesn't have that X factor necessarily in any of the 3 disciplines, but he's just so good at all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that, he always runs about that 240, 241, 242 marathon. And it goes to show if you're front pack swim, I have a strong bike, and you run that fast, you will podium at an Ironman race. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what he can do come Nice time because he's already in good form right now.
Definitely.
I'll talk about the tires and the wheels, but kudos to Cadix. Not sponsored by any means, but Cadix across the board on the men's podium.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, speaking of the men's in Nice, we have some updates on the Ironman World Championship slots who will be going there from this race. We got Kristian Blummenfelt validated his spot. Antonio Benito Lopez got his. Rudy von Berg, Daniel Beckegaard, Casper Stornes, Paul Schuster, and Gustav validated his spot as well. So we have some secured big names on the course in Nice coming this September. So looking forward to seeing them battle it out again, even though this was I think Tri Rating said 55% of a world championship field. I'd say it was higher than that when we look at who will actually make it to Nice healthy and ready to race. Well, let's jump into the women's side of things because we had the big 3 that we thought were going to do well on race day there between Taylor Knibb, Kat Matthews, and Chelsea Sodaro. And unfortunately, Chelsea Sodaro did not make the start. We were standing in that pro rack area, and it was half hour to transition closing and still no Chelsea Sodaro. And then shortly after, she put out that she wasn't going to be racing due to sickness. And we had the top 2 definitely battle it out, but I think we had some surprises on the podium as well. What do you guys think of the women's race?
Yeah, I thought it was exciting. I thought it was great racing. And I think a lot of us thought Taylor was it was just a walk in the park for her. But no, definitely. A lot of people wrote Kat Matthews out and Chelsea out when we saw Taylor Knibb on the start list. And I speak for myself, but I thought Taylor was going to ride from everyone and she's going to had a new Ironman world record, and we're all going to be clapping and saying she is a successor from Danielle Reeve and this and that. But no, Kat Matthews, Ironman is about experience, and the more Ironmans you have under you, the better you usually race. And Kat, she's a stellar runner. I mean, I think over the Ironman distance, there's nobody better than her over the full marathon. And she's the type of athlete who doesn't slows down and usually negative splits the second half of the marathon. So yeah, Kat ran away with the win and Taylor took second. And I think the surprise you're talking about, Jenna, is Lisa Perterer from Austria, former short course athlete. And I'm really happy for her because she loves Mexico. She does a lot of training camps here in Cozumel. So she feels like a local in a way. So very happy for her.
Yeah, it was great to see when we saw Kat was 6 minutes down around there out of the swim. It was okay, it's still within range. But we've seen Taylor throw down some bike splits that you would kind of wonder if Kat Matthews was going to lose and go up to that 10 minutes. And for a while, it looked like Taylor Knibb was putting some time into Kat, but Kat ended up clawing it back and just staying strong to the end of that bike ride. And she pretty much finished the bike with the same deficit she had going out of the swim. And as we all saw, Taylor Knibb broke the record for the Ironman bike times out there. Kat Matthews was 20 seconds behind that. Can you imagine? How many times did we think about that 20 seconds, how easy that would have been to get in there?
And she made that up on the dismount line.
If you guys haven't seen, head over to another triathlon podcast Instagram. We got, unfortunately, Taylor Knibb. Travis was chatting with her afterwards, and she forgot that the rear bottle cage was on there, and her foot kind of caught on the rear bottle cage as she tried to go over, and then she went all the way over, unfortunately. So that record bike time, that happened before the timing point on it too. So she lost a few seconds falling down, getting back up, and getting over that timing ship time. Man, we need her.
It was what we kind of expected. I mean, it was a race between the two of them for most of half of the run, and then it was a really good race from third on back, and a lot of ladies trying to make up the gap. A lot of questions coming out of Taylor Knibb and all the others on where are the Kona slot people? Where are the Kona slot people? Like, who do I have to get? And thankfully, there were a couple women up front that actually had already had their slots. So it did drop down to, I believe, 7th was the last spot with Haley Scher.
Yeah. Haley, yeah.
So it was definitely. Go ahead, Fed.
Oh, I was just going to say that there were only two women that ran under 3 hours, Kat and Tamara Jewett. So this goes to show how hot was the race, especially on the run, and probably how much overbiking was happening on course on race day.
Yeah. And you guys were at the Pro Tri News live podcast where I think towards the end, they were talking about if Taylor would ride away and come home with like a 16-minute lead just based off of history, right? She's used to doubling in the 70.3, so why not 16 minutes coming off the bike? And Mark was like, guys, I don't think that's going to happen this time. And sure enough, Kat's new bike coach knows what he's doing, and she's got a cycling coach now. And man, she is as aero as they get. She literally rode just with her, and right with her. And Taylor didn't pull away. I think, she had some company for a while too. It was not the typical. But then you find out, I just wanted my Kona slot. And that was kind of her MO towards the end of the day, maybe because she wasn't going to win. But at the same time, it's literally all she needed because she's not going after the Pro Series either, whereas Kat is. And Kat definitely put a lot of people on notice, like Laura Phillip, time to race and see what you got this year. When you talk about a good marathoner, though, Fede, we still got to see Kat beat Laura at the Worlds.
Yeah, true.
So I think Laura Phillips she's had a heck of an off season, and now it's time for her to go soon too. We'll see. It's going to be a heck of a season, and Kona's going to be on fire.
And you can't forget about Ann Haug when you're talking about the marathon times as well too. And I was just looking up her Instagram there just to see, because she's been so quiet and nobody knows what's going on with hers. Yeah, I think Kat's in the driving seat right now while we wait for a couple of those other big names. But yeah.
Yeah, and I saw on Mark Matthews posted on his Instagram stories there that Kat ran that first 5K in 18:30. So that's like, what?
Wow.
Something like, apparently he told her, just race it smart, don't screw it up kind of thing. And she's like, I'm just going to catch her as fast as possible and see what happens.
Catch her and see if she responds.
Yeah, and didn't see the pass happen, but it didn't sound like Taylor had any response to it once Kat Matthews went running by there.
No.
I don't know if you guys saw this on the ground. I think you were both like right near. I think, Jenna, you actually put something up about it. But the fact that Kristian immediately when he finished and won was taking selfies and autographing, I was like, that is so good for the sport and so it was so much needed more of. And it's like, yeah, it's KB. And then for KB to be there at midnight and handing out medals and high-fiving, and I was like trying to count how many people didn't know who they were getting their medal from. How many people knew? It was really cool to see the ones that did recognize who he was and actually know that he had won, and congratulate him too. So, but man, that was awesome just to witness for the sport in general.
And as we're talking about the women's race here, so the women who are going to be guaranteed in Kona after this race are Kat Matthews, Taylor Knibb, Lisa Perterer had already qualified in Cozumel. We got Alice Alberts, Sarah Spence, also already qualified for it. Tamara Jewett, who raced on her birthday. Yeah. There was a birthday cake for her at the finish line, which was awesome. And then, as you mentioned, Haley Scher got her spot as well. So it's definitely shaping up for some epic racing over in Kona this year. Looking forward to that one, although I won't see much of it go down.
Because you're racing. You definitely couldn't miss Haley Scher out there, that's for sure.
I got her neon kit.
Wow. Wow, that was bright.
No, that was easy to spot. And you know what? Texas was such a fun one to spectate. I haven't done a lot of just Ironman spectating and trying to follow the race in there. But there's so much support on the course there. Like you look at the bridge overlooking the swim, and there's a few people deep just watching all the swimmers go off. Hippie Hollow. Travis showed me that place. That was my favorite thing in the whole race. You just have these guys bang garbage cans, yelling, screaming, and even the pros who like come into it look like they're suffering, and then they can't help but smile as they go by. Travis, what were some of your kind of favorite things from the on the ground part of it?
Yeah, I actually found this very interesting to compare 2023 when I was there last to this year, and Ironman have definitely stepped up their game. It was still amazing to me in 2023, but it was just that much better this year. They had stands now set up in the finish line, so a lot more people could enjoy it that way. They also had a big TV, so a big screen, so everybody could, hang out at those restaurants, and those walking by anyways could then tune in and see what's going on in the pro race. And there just seemed to be a lot more spectators than when I was there last time. And I think this is all to do with the Pro Series now, and they're taking it a lot more serious. And it just seems like, more and more people are getting into the sport than, especially the pro side of it, than I've seen in the last few years. Exciting.
And Jenna, you had a video up of like the expo area when you first got there, I think, and it seemed like it was different than what you would normally see, like walking through the merch tent and into a closed off expo. This one seemed like pretty wide open with a stage and like a coffee bar or like whatever. It was hard to tell, but it seemed like Ironman stepped up their game in the expo area.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with that. They had some more seating so people would hang out. There was one little area where they were having tire changing competitions, see how fast people could change out flats and stuff. And like you mentioned, they had the coffee, which we all need lots of coffee going in there. But it sounds like they're having talks all throughout the weekend and just making it easier for people to kind of gather and hang out there. With the Mana crew, we all got together there and took some pictures of the team, and it just had much more of a vibe than get in, get out, and go on to your race day, which is very cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's been something that's a big push from the CEO, just making it more of an experience, but not only for the athletes, but also for the spectators, and I think anybody who would have come to that race as just a spectator would have been, over the moon with their experience. Yeah, hats off to them.
Yeah, they had that new finish line location too. That just looked epic right under the bridge with all the banners and stuff. It definitely made it all look and feel a lot bigger.
Yeah, you couldn't even tell like the finish line isn't there naturally. Like it just like incorporated itself into that whole look, and it was really neat. And I had not remembered it being like that in the past. So yeah, definitely really, really, really epic finish line. And you could probably see it from a ways away as you're coming in, and just awesome. It's like now you had Oceanside with the pier, and now Texas. I mean, what are they going to do in St. George? They got to figure that out.
It's probably one of those things that they're like, why didn't we do this before? Like it was just right there. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like the whole crowd, like the whole pro field is really receptive to what Scott Deroux has been doing too. Like just when they finish and typically it's like, oh, I want to see my loved ones or I want to see my friends and family. And it's like, no, they go right to Scott. And it seems like the athletes are behind him in everything he's doing and telling them. So that's a big change too. I think that's awesome to see.
Definitely. And speaking about finish lines and this amazing race, I think we should all need to peer pressure Josh so he does Ironman Texas for his first full next year. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, well, we need to fix global warming, so it's a wetsuit swim. It was like, what, 0.6 of a degree too much?
Oh man, that'd be a rough swim too, because it's fresh water, no wetsuit. You're getting no help from anywhere on that one.
But I love the TT bike, the TT style bike. I'll take. I'm actually looking forward to that at Oregon just to see how that goes. I've been climbing for so long in my races, so I'm actually looking forward to testing the power.
Absolutely. And if you guys haven't checked it out already, go check out the Daily Tri. Travis does these, like I said, great previews and post-race production. You got some really great shots of Ironman Texas. So if you want to kind of see how the day all went in there, he puts those together for all the big races. What's up next for you, Travis? What's going on in the triathlon world?
Thankfully, it sounds like, well, I shouldn't say that, but I've done a lot of traveling already this year, so I'm not going to any races. And I feel like I can actually do a bit of a better job when I'm at home doing more content. And then being at the races, I get too wrapped up in all of it and sometimes struggle to put the content out. So yeah, just going to enjoy spectating St. George, San Francisco T100 coming up, and Vancouver and all that. Plus, it's my wedding also coming up, so I guess I have to spend some time planning for that too. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us here. And again, thank you for helping show me around Ironman Texas so we can get some fun shots out there. We will definitely be keeping an eye on your race recaps and previews, and hopefully we'll chat with you again soon.
Yeah, you got to keep putting that content out so I have some more to watch while I'm on my trainer, for sure. It's one of my top viewing.
Awesome. I'll keep doing it. Don't worry. I love doing it.
Awesome. Have a great night, Travis.
Thanks, guys.